each other serendipitously. The second night after I had seen the Marfa Mystery Lights for the first time in 2005, our bands were randomly paired together to play a show together in Los Angeles, California, in a small gallery setting. She was in a band at the time called Weirdo Bagirdo. Yacht at the time was a solo project. So we met, it was like at first sight, and then maybe 6 to 8 months later, it grew into something other than like at first sight. It was more like
mutual interest.
Yeah, or
second sight.
Really like
6 months of
or
look
dislike.
at one another at that point.
Something like
vague
that.
interest.
Yeah. So it just became a very natural progression for us, collaborating on very normal things like making breakfast or shopping, to more creative things like creating videos, starting new blogs, stuff like that. And then it became musical at the very end. It just started making the most sense for all of our things in our lives together to sort of infiltrate and become one thing. One life shared. One shared life. Yeah.
But it was so you guys got together, and then as far as like how did the album come together? The album was fantastic. How did it come? You know, like maybe I've heard that before.
No,
but
I haven't.
Really? Yeah, no, yeah. It's
I don't know if I believe that.
the album's disgusting.
Thank you.
We've heard all.
We've heard
all
every
ranges.
range. We've heard the full spectrum.
Really? Have you heard bad things?
Oh, totally.
Yeah,
It's
certainly.
but I've never heard anything mild. It's very polarizing. People either
But that's
love it or
good
hate
though.
it.
That's
No,
good.
it's great.
If you
It's a great
polarize
effect.
people,
Yeah.
it's
I can see
That was our
yeah.
intended effect. So
Yeah, absolutely.
But like how do you come together and actually after you did the whole, you know, we're going to bake bread together and like clean the couch or whatever, or like, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
How'd you get to the music making? Like where did you guys come together?
It was a shared experience. Again, the Marfa Mystery Lights. That's what brought all of the music out of us together. So I had seen it in 2005 alone. Met her the next year on a tour. We're together. We experienced the lights together, and we're like, oh my god, we have to figure out what this is. We have to be around it as much as possible. So we made the decision right there and then that we're going to live in Marfa, Texas. So a year later, we moved there, which was last year, and we spent 2 months living in this small, far west, desolate Texas desert town. It was amazing and beautiful, and the lights sort of governed all of our actions, and so we made the album not even knowing that we were making an album or even making music. It actually started off as an 8.5-minute album of mantras that then sort of evolved into this pop music, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was because we were both living in this isolated space together, and that we'd experienced this phenomenon at the same time together, that it just made sense for us to make this record together. It was almost as though it was like a direct revelation from
Right. We didn't
from
really
the
know.
experience.
We didn't know what we were making while we were making it. It just kind of happened, and then months later we're like, oh, this is something.
It was genius.
Not genius. We were just like, it's a thing.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
Something has materialized.
Yeah. Something that was bigger than the two of us. Something that we didn't really know we were capable of making. And not that it's good or bad. It's just that it is. Exactly.
It has come into being.
The way you represent or you actualize the goals that you set. So you're having these experiences, seeing these
Right.
phenomena. How does that turn into music? What's that process like? I mean,
It was unconscious. It just happened. It was really weird. The first album was, like I was saying, 8.5 minutes long, and it was atonal. Sometimes it was melodic, but it was mostly atonal, and it was kind of just chanting. And it was based on these 8 core ideas or beliefs that we had sort of materialized out of the experience of seeing the lights. And that's more on like the ideology of Yacht, that whole side of that, in which we've also written a book about. But the music part, yeah, we came up with these 8 things. But then, after we had made them and listened to them, we're like, this is cool. We showed them to DFA, and they're like, this is amazing. We would love to put this out. They're like, but it's 8 minutes. Is that what you wanted to? And we're like, we don't know. And they're like, well, we also love the pop music that you've made in the past. What do you think about trying to turn these 8 mantras into pop songs? Which we thought was really genius.
okay, so you use the term mantra. That's really
Yeah.
interesting to me. I mean, did it become something that personal that
Oh,
you
definitely.
internalized it that far?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we were in a place that is unlike any other place in the world, and we were really isolated and experiencing like, mysterious paranormal phenomena on a regular basis, and living with people who have been also living with mysterious paranormal phenomena on a regular basis. So just by virtue of the situation, we found ourselves just talking about everything that we believe in our lives, and sort of formulating our own little private belief structure and system.
Sure.
Not in any formal way, but just out of, like as a product of all these discussions that we were having. And since we'd come to Marfa with the intention of making music, it just all tumbled into that. The two became one in a way, and so the music became the ideas, and the ideas became the music at the same time. And then only later did we begin to piece together like a pop structure around that in order to disseminate those ideas to the world.
Yeah, we felt that pop music was the best delivery platform for ideas. And since like the dance side of pop music is already so repetitive and so easy to listen to over and over, and it's perfect for cultures. It's like already there.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
I suppose. Cool. So, Young Americans challenging higher technology, correct?
High technology.
High
Higher,
technology.
yeah.
Okay. What is high technology? How do you define it?
Well, the name actually comes from this after-school program that was in Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
It was this little building that kids would go to after school, and it was a 2-hour-long program that I did from just like only 6 months long, and it actually crumbled. There was some kind of some mystery behind why it stopped.
It was the administration.
There was, I think it was a legal thing, because it was actually really, really weird. So they divided the class into 2 groups. The first group would embrace technology in sort of a Buckminster Fuller way, where you were taught to make as much as you can with as little as possible. So it was like a media workshop. And the second group was almost, I don't want to say it, was almost like Unabomber style of like really hating technology and trying to work on things to destroy technology. And halfway through the day, the 2 groups would switch.
Okay.
And so I think that really fucked up a lot of kids. Like, I really liked paying homage to that whole scene and that weird mystery. The building was actually up in Portland until 2004 or 5 when they knocked it down. But I still have pictures of the old sign where it's it's challenging.
I think it has a lot to do with duality too, the fact that you could both simultaneously embrace and reject something and still have like a logical relationship to it. It's not like it's that cut and dry, especially technology. I mean, you can use it for good or evil, and you can choose the way that you use it honestly. And which is something we try to do. I mean, we use technology to make our music, but our music is really almost anti-technological at the same time. I don't think that's a contradiction in terms at all.
It's certainly an interesting dichotomy.
Yeah.
So, I also like the term challenging in there. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, is it challenging yourself to interact with the technology? Is it challenging the technology to do more than it should? Mm-hmm. Where
I think it's all of those things. And like the name, we don't really consider it to be super literal, so I just like leaving it open to people to interpret however they want. So both of those ideas are right.
Cool.